Welcome back to the 2021 Magic City Mega Bowl presented by Dynamic Disc. This is the back half of the round 2 footage of lead card at the John LeMaster Memorial Disc Golf Course in Trustville, Alabama.
My name is James Hoppin, and this is Jared Neal. Here you have the leaderboard there. Logan Bowers with 4 down on the front nine, getting to 12 under par. Harper with a 2 down, getting to 10 under par.
All right, hole 10, one of my favorite holes on this course. 700 feet on the right-hand side, you see that tree line. There is a rope, so that whole right side is out of bounds, and then your whole left side has a walking path. On or across the path is out of bounds. So you have this little corridor green stretch to rip down all 700 feet. This is a pretty typical drive. Maybe hyzer it out over the OB, let it come in. You do want it to spike because the further down you go, it seems like the skippier the grass gets, at least from my personal experience.
Yeah, that sidewalk does come into play the further down you go as well, because it does narrow down towards the tree line.
And you can see there was a couple high hyzers. That is going to help it dig instead of skip. And looks like MJ just hit tall grass, so it just kind of killed the forward progression on that one.
Yeah, I think the more aggressive play, if you don't have as much power as some of these guys, is to go straight down the middle, so you can get a little further. That is a booming shot from Harper.
What a fantastic drive from Harper. Honestly, I thought it was too wide at first, but he got high enough that it came back and didn't get caught up in that tree line.
Yeah, it's definitely showing his angle control there. Wow, Johansen showing off some skills there, getting probably around the circle's edge. That's a very impressive shot. Getting a birdie here in these conditions would be incredible. As you can see, nobody really wants to play with that tree line on the right since it is OB. I think the reason they went with that is
Speed of play.
for speed of play, because you throw in there and you'll be looking forever.
Definitely speed of play. Here's Logan again with that classic rock. He is going the pretty typical route if you're on that left side, which is just to cut that corner. Just take it up over that path, cut the corner, throw the straight shot. Let's see what Harper, let's see if he gets that skip. He's
going left.
And he's in that ditch, which is safe. So he'll just be putting from a low to high.
Yeah, that's a typical spot for some of your power throwers in this hole.
Oh,
right off the top.
So I can always tell when Ben is trying to give it a run but doesn't want to get in too much trouble. He's actually throwing that Nova of his. So if he happens to miss the basket, it's going to sit immediately on the grass and hopefully not skip out. Looks like MJ got fortunate. It didn't go too far.
Yeah, just barely not committed on that putt there for MJ. I see Harper taking his time, drying off his discs, being very diligent.
They're actually making this hole look a lot easier than it typically plays.
There are typically big numbers on this hole. Some of the lower divisions, you can see 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s on this hole simply because you go OB and then you go OB again.
Yeah, I once watched somebody throw it out of bounds, throw a next shot that looked like it was about to come in right, hit one of the trees, kick it back out of bounds, and honestly, maybe 1 or 2 more out of bounds, just trying to get it up the green.
You put a little bit of wind on this hole, and it can eat your lunch for sure.
Well, I am gonna say I got the birdie on that hole.
Really? Wow.
In the rain. I was pretty happy about that.
I'm pretty sure I played it like
big clear the water energy. Big new disc energy?
So whether you just chucked your favorite disc in the water or looking for a little wisdom on what needs to be the next staple in your bag, head on over to Dynamic Discs Iron City for your one-stop shop for all of your disc golf needs.
Big Dynamic Discs Iron City energy.
Alright, here we have hole 11. The rope continues on from hole 10 along that tree line. You have this basket out there at 268. There are two primary routes on this hole. You can go pretty much straight at it. You might see Logan throwing forehand. But typically you're going to see a lot of your backhand throwers take this line right here that Ben's throwing. It's just a really simple hyzer out there. He does saw it off slightly, but he'll have a look for the putt there.
There's also a pretty favorable concession on this hole, which is the green space close to them on the close side of the path is still in bounds, because there actually is another pin placement that's just over to the left on the close side of the path.
Yeah, that path's going to play like a river. Ooh, a little early release there from MJ.
And looks like it's just good enough it slides over to the grass.
Wow.
I know if you've ever hit an early tree on this hole, just from a grip block or something, it's very, very fortunate that the close side is in bounds. And
Speaking
there
of
it
an
goes.
early tree, there's one from Harper there. I think he just kind of let it slip out of his hand there. Another conditions taking its toll again.
Yeah. Usually you see a lot of twos on this hole.
Yeah, this is probably I would say one of the easiest holes on the course for your pro guys here.
I would say definitely one of the most birdied holes on the course.
Hey, Dad, come on, get the...
As we see, 3 putts not connect. But again, these are atypical conditions. Wow.
That is not what you normally see from Logan there. He's usually pretty straight up and down on the putt.
And there goes his umbrella. Yeah, definitely very out of character for Logan. He's usually a very pinpoint putter. He puts a lot of effort into his putts, but they normally hold a frozen rope.
Man, we're seeing 4 pars in this hole. That is not good for this lead card. Again, you gotta look at the condition. It just everybody has to play in it. So you do what's right in front of you.
So hole 12, 310 feet, just simple little par 3. This is the more difficult of the placements, just because it's far enough left that if you go too straight at it, or if you catch too much of a skip down the hill, you could fly into the street.
3 routes on this hole. There's one, the high backhand hyzer route, which you're looking for the skip, and then you have this inside forehand flex route that Logan is taking there. Which
That's that purple Firebird again.
I think that's the most pure route to get there.
If you feel really good about flexing a sidearm, it's a really, really good route. MJ's actually taking a really sneaky inside route. He didn't go to the typical hyzer line gap to the right. He actually went straight through the trees you have to avoid.
Oh,
There goes Harper too.
taking that same route. Rethinking my thought process on this hole.
So Ben took the hyzer line,
That's gonna
and
be
that's pretty typical for that. It looked like his drive went a little too straight. It actually didn't hyzer out really hard.
Yeah, you can get a pretty good skip going down in that way.
Yeah, I like to hang a Justice out to the side and just let it skip all the way down the hill. Kind of takes a lot of the thought out of the throw.
There's a great putt from Harper there. There we go. Logan connecting through. I believe that was a birdie, actually. But that was his drive. MJ throwing that. I believe that was the purple banger he threw.
Yeah, Yeah, that looked like his banger. Which is what I would expect him to throw in that hole, honestly. It's shaped just for that. Start off on a little baby hyzer, flip to flat.
All right, here we have hole 13. There's a couple different pin placements on this hole as well. This is the longer pin placement. That's going to be 307 feet. We have a couple initial gaps to hit off the tee, and it's going to be kind of down here in this corner, right next to this little road down here. You do kind of have to test the out of bounds right on this hole if you're throwing the backhand. We got Logan right here throwing a forehand, which is.
If I ever need to know if there's a forehand route on a hole, Logan is one of the players that will no doubt show me that.
Yeah, and he's hitting one of those guardian trees late. That is very typical on this hole. If you're slightly off, that's the one tree you have to miss. And you have to pretty much pick whether you're going to go to the right or the left of it.
And that one needs to come back. That's going straight for the road. Oh my gosh. If he wasn't throwing that Nova, that would have been straight in the road. There's that purple banger again. Hopefully it can check up. This is such a particular. That is fantastic. This is such a particular like landing zone at the end of the green.
That's just showing how much finesse MJ has within his game.
It's a pure finesse hole. There's not really a power line on this hole. It's very touchy.
Well, there is, but you have to really risk a branch. There's like a really stable, like a Firebird-esque line way out to the right. But you're not going to see that in tournament play. Wow, great run from Ben. Just barely short.
Purely downhill too. Who's putting with that Nova again? Trying to get to just stick. Harper with a good par for hitting an early tree. Even hitting an early tree, it's not necessarily a guaranteed layup to the basket. There's that row of trees that is kind of short. That if you definitely saw this one off, because this one's a little bit further past that row of trees than it looks. Looks like Logan's not too happy about that one.
And MJ is just cleaning up an easy birdie.
So hole 14 is one of those holes that's kind of like a forehand thrower's dream. 285 feet, has a wide open left corridor, wide open right corridor. The right's a little bit more pitched, but for a forehand thrower, he can throw it straight off that tee through the left corridor and just have it skip right up to the basket.
Throwing a backhand, you really have to miss that one tree that Johansen just missed right there. I typically like to go to the right side of that tree and then have it flatten out straight at the basket on a backhand.
So this one's actually cut a little short, but it's gonna work. You tend to want to hang it out just flat, let it ride the corridor, and then cut right towards that end tree.
See, that's going right towards it. Just barely taps the tree.
Kissed it, but he parked it.
Parked.
That's the tree you got to get around. This is one of the holes that, like, when I started throwing my forehand and getting it a little bit more consistent, I could step up to that hole and be like, I think I'm going to birdie this.
Yeah. It's 285. It does play a little uphill. So it actually plays around 300 to 305. Good bid from MJ there from circle 2. This board bend from about 40 feet.
Oh, very good run. And as you'll see on these holes, we have the little orange tufts that are at the circle's edge.
That was a very uncalled for roll away there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Good job from Logan. A little awkward wood straddle, but capitalized.
Yeah, he's typically a good player from the straddle putt. Ben.
Low and low.
I think he's probably just a little shook up from the roll,
Yeah.
not for the distance of the putt. So
Well, he's been off the cage and off the top, quite a bit in this round. I think that the grip conditions are probably messing with him more than
that's true.
more than
And
we
he is
think.
putting with KC Pro AVRs, so they tend to be a little stiffer. So you add water into the mix, and that's just going to make it slick.
Yeah.
Dynamic Discs Iron City, home of Alabama's largest selection in disc golf. Although they have dynamic discs in their name, they've got every manufacturer you'll need for your game. So whether you're looking for new or used discs and all of your disc golf accessories, head on over to Dynamic Discs Iron City.
I would say hole 15, 661 feet. This is a new pin placement for this hole. Typically you play up here to these three trees with the pine straw, but this one's actually going to play over another road area, driveway area, to this extra long pin. It's a very interesting play, and I saw some very creative routes that I wouldn't have thought about on this normally. Logan just mashing a drive out there.
Yeah, there's a few different plays on this hole. Typically, you're going to see these guys go towards this right gap with a backhand or forehand. Oh, this is actually the more right gap than I was referring to.
So this is the brand new shot that I've been seeing on this hole. You don't see this shot being taken on this hole unless you're playing this pin placement.
That's the more standard position right there.
Right. That wide hyzer actually runs you over part of the green of the hole we just came off of.
Typically in better conditions, you see a lot of rollers on this hole to get a little bit more distance.
Even though Ben is the furthest out, this is what I normally see on this hole. And I don't think anybody's really familiar with what we need to do on the upshot since it's so new. I know it's like, for this hole, I just try to like pick a tree that I needed to cut in front of.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this was put in maybe 2 weeks before the tournament. Harper getting way up there. I guess in that right gap, you really cut off some distance. Oh, stay in bounds.
These ditches over here are actually usually forgiving because they tend to catch more than they do just allow it to roll back in the road, which I actually really like because I was almost where Harper was. I think I was a little bit more pin high than he was.
Wow, that is incredible. Logan with a forehand at the forehand for a 3. Now for the tournament, they are calling this a par 5, but typically for the pros, you're going to see this play as a par 4. But it was called a par 5 for the tournament.
Yeah. And Logan's showing one of many ways to do this. I actually got the Eagle 3 on this hole, and I went hyzer. So to see him go forehand just shows you the versatility of this hole.
That might be the best thing about playing park golf is you have all these different options, and as long as you stick to your game plan, you can score the way you want to.
Man, good on Harper right there. Just stepping up, draining that putt, grabbing his eagle.
That's a good confident putt from Ben there.
Logan with the drop-in eagle. It doesn't get too much better than that. Birdie for MJ.
That's going to be 6 under for the card.
We actually had 2 eagles on my card as well. In the rain. It's pretty surprising.
I think we were all birdies on line. All right, here we have hole 16. There are 3 pin placements on this hole. We are playing to the far right pin. It is 385. This is the straight at it gap, which is the most narrow.
Nah, it's not a real gap.
it's maybe perhaps not a real gap, but nobody's really going to go for it. It's there, but nobody's really going for that. The percentages are pretty low for going that route.
This is the route. That's just too high. It plays perfect for a power forehand.
It plays really good for a forced over backhand as well. It kind of flattens out towards the basket. Here you see Harper doing that exact same thing right there. Perhaps a little low.
Yeah, I think he got a grip issue on that. I saw people actually swinging it to the right as well, playing a little bit down the roadside and just letting it skip back.
It is definitely there, but it is a very risky shot because you nick one of those rocks up there by that ditch or something like that and stay out of bounds. And that, potentially looking at, 2 strokes depending on how far back you go on the OB.
Both Ben and Harper going low on the turnover shots.
Very uncharacteristic of Logan there. It seemed like a pretty simple upshot. Almost saved the par from it though.
You got a
fantastic bid there.
You got to think Logan was thinking, I have to throw this in.
Well, he's having a great round. He's 8 under going into this hole, which in these conditions is incredible.
It's absolutely incredible. We're seeing a pretty good game from Harper too, and I don't think we've mentioned it. If I'm not mistaken, Harper's like 16. He's pretty young.
He's young. Yeah,
he's definitely been showing a lot of his skill this year in tournaments. Like I said, he's out of the Nashville area, so I've been seeing his name either at the top of the leaderboard or really close to it.
Okay, here we have hole 17. This is a par 4, 394 feet. Typically that distance you don't see a par 4 at that distance for pro golf. However, this is a very tight hole. There are 2 routes to get there. This is in the long pin. That tree in the middle, you could split the left gap and go down the hill that way, or you can go the right gap. Kind of bubbles around to the green.
Kind of a high road, low road. You go to the left, it drops down low. You go to the right, it stays up high.
It is very beneficial to stay in the fairway on this hole. Okay, so from there, MJ's probably going to take the left gap simply because it's kind of pinched to go to the right. That's a typical shot for this hole. Just to barely pull it right when trying to go to the right gap. There is a grouping of trees there that you will hit.
So I'm not really sure if that was just a misfire from Logan. I wouldn't think typically a forehand down the left side. And Harper just caught early, and it makes it tricky for him to catch early. Because you really want to have 1 to 2 shots to go down this little corridor just in case you hit something. There's a lot of things to hit.
Okay, you can easily take big numbers off here on this hole. If you get off the fairway, it is incredibly hard to get to the basket. Typically, you have to just pitch out.
Yeah, Logan's showing a little bit of hole knowledge on that one. If you do tend to go to the left side, normally you can get your upshot high and reach the basket.
Yeah, over the years, there's been stories of twos on this hole, where you can hit the gap just perfectly, and it's only 394, but you have to hit the gap absolutely perfectly.
Really makes me wonder, because I've never seen anybody doing it, and I would think a lot of those are tall tails. I mean, it can happen in very perfect conditions, but
I've gotten it once, but it was from a 80-foot throw in. So,
well, I stand corrected. Yeah. The track record of this hole is higher than par for sure.
Mm-hmm. But doing that in a tournament compared to a casual round is something different, I guess.
Yeah. You throw a rain in this, I saw a lot of high numbers on this hole.
Do you suffer from a common yet financially draining condition called I need more discs-itis? Let's talk about the best solution, coming from me, a real doctor. Head over to Dynamic Discs Iron City for an incredible selection of both used and new plastic. With new inventory constantly arriving, you're guaranteed to find that brand new driver to give you an extra 50 feet. You don't have to do this alone. Head over to Dynamic Discs Iron City and join the Iron Throne.
All right, hole 18. If hole 17 wasn't bad enough, hole 18 is a pretty narrow corridor, 450 feet. You are going downhill. We have the road and kind of our parking area to the left, but then it opens up into this field and you have this basket out on its own, but the green still has a slope to it. And this is the hardest part about this hole. It's just getting out of this.
See if Logan can match his shot from last year. Logan
looked like he kicked hard.
Yeah, he hit one of those bigger trees. Last year, Logan actually laced a boss straight down there and was 10 feet from the basket off the tee.
I like MJ's play. Just a little flip up hyzer. Try to get it to go straight. If it drifts a little to the right, just don't go in the woods.
Ben's going to be very happy with that. That's right in the middle.
Yeah, his kick was fortunate. See, this is the similar play to MJ. He actually got a really good kick at the end, but Harper's throw was definitely tracking on a turnover to go heavier in the woods.
And that forehand got away from Ben there. I like this hole simply because you can get as aggressive as you want. You can play a putter straight down the middle, go 200 feet, have a 250-foot up shot, take a three and move on. Or you can, a lot of these people have the power to go all the way to the basket.
Yeah, for a right-hand backhanded thrower, it's definitely tricky because if you run the entire corridor, you don't want it to fade out towards that road because
it does slope to the left.
It's a left-handed slope and it gets pretty skippy on it normally, and you can tell there's a big flat rock right next to the basket too. So if you land near the basket, let's see if he can hit it just before. But here,
man, that looked like it was going in for a second.
Oh, that was fortunate. He was probably inches from hitting that rock. If he would have hit that rock, he would have been outside circle one for sure.
That's going to be a 25-footer for Ben to save his par.
Nice and easy from MJ. He said par is good enough.
And looking back on the stats, there were some big numbers on these last two holes.
These last two holes are
round killers.
Definitely round killers. I've seen more big numbers on those two holes alone than the entire rest of the course combined.
Yeah, it totally got me for sure.
That was a fantastic putt from Ben to finish up even. And,
yeah,
these other guys have just been playing fantastic. An even round is actually nothing to shy away from.
Yeah, they're going to be glad to get off the course this day. As you can see, Harper's hair right there is just completely soaked. And there you have it right there. There's the scorecard. Logan with a 7 under on the day.
So Logan's gonna go to number 1, Harper right behind him, MJ, and then it looks like there's a tie for 4th. It's like Bo McLaughlin and Brandon Brown both shot pretty decent rounds. This is a pretty stacked up top scorecard, or just tournament standings so far.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We had 74 in the tournament for Open.
Quite a few in the tournament.
I think that's a record for the Mega Bowl, I believe.
I believe so. And it gets even better because the next course, no one's lead is for sure.
Yeah, this next course. If you haven't heard of the Inverness Disc Golf Course, you are in for a treat for round 3.
So make sure to join us for round 3 coverage, final round of this tournament.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. See you the next time.